Hey everybody, happy 2024. It's Matt. I haven't made a video in a little bit, so I decided I'd give it a go. So in this video, I want to discuss three different things. The first thing I want to discuss is the GovPlanet process, or not the process, but how I like the process. One of the videos I made, I talked about the execution, what to expect, but now I'm going to talk about what happened after the actual auctions and the different types of logistics I needed to do to kind of figure everything out and get the truck to Washington. The second thing I want to talk about is how I like the truck so far, how I like working on it, and the things I don't like about the truck that I plan on changing in the future. And then the third thing I plan on talking about is finances. That's the one thing that nobody really wants to talk about, and from all the different YouTube videos I've seen so far, I haven't really seen anybody be very transparent with the different costs associated with making a truck. So I kind of want to give my 2023 cost breakdown of what I had to pay for. There might be a couple of things that I forgot to annotate, but I think I did a decent job of trying to get the big picture. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you don't like it, tell me in the comments. If you do like it, also tell me in the comments. So yeah, thanks, and hope you enjoyed the video. All right, so let's get into the first topic here. This first topic is what I actually thought of the GovPlanet auction. There was a couple of points here that I really enjoyed, and there was a couple of things I really did not enjoy about this process. I'm going to talk about the pros first. The first thing that I really enjoyed was the priority bidding process. This priority bidding made the auction relatively easy for me. You put your max bid in there, and the system automatically bid for you depending on the increment level. All right, so the second thing that I want to point out that I really liked about the GovPlanet site is the actual GovPlanet site. I'm so grateful that there is a place where you can bid on old military equipment and then make a potential dream of an overland expedition vehicle a reality. So that's my number two that I really like about the GovPlanet in general in the auction. All right, now let's talk about the critiques. For the critiques, I only had two of them. The first one deals with when I first created a GovPlanet account, I wasn't able to bid immediately, even though I put all of my financial information inside of my profile. I actually had to call somebody from a help desk, the GovPlanet help desk, for them to activate my ability to bid. I don't know if this is just kind of like a checks and balances, but that was kind of like one of the first things that kind of irked me in the wrong way, where I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna go well. The second point of critique has to deal with after the auction and you successfully won your bid. This portion deals with the transportation. In the GovPlanet, they have a company called Veritread that gives you estimates on how much it's supposed to cost to ship this type of military equipment to your location. So for me, I thought that this process would have been a little bit more streamlined because I don't know how to personally ship a 24,000 pound military truck. I thought the estimates I was getting from Veritread and their transportation providers was what it costs for the driver to go to location, put the truck onto the trailer, and then drive it the how many miles is required to get to the final destination. But turns out, depending on the state of the vehicle, you might even need to get wreckers to load and unload the truck from the trailer. That's one issue that I ran into is I pretty much paid about $2,300, maybe about $2,800 by the end of the transportation expense. But I also had to pay about $2,000 for wrecker to go to the GovPlanet auction location in Yermo, load the military truck onto a trailer, and then once the military truck got to Washington, which is where I live right now, I had to hire another wrecker for about $2,200 to then unload the military truck and then put it into the storage location. The reason why I think that this was more of a problem for my truck is because the steering column was broken. Maybe if I didn't have this specific set of problems, I it would have been a little bit less, and the transportation company could have figured it out. But that's kind of a $4,200 expense that kind of came out of nowhere that I wasn't really expecting or waiting for. All right, now let's talk about the timeline. So for me, I did a little bit of research before I decided to bid on a truck. And my biggest kind of touch point that I learned was the EUC, the end user certificate. And for me, when I was doing my research, I was seeing people have wait times between 30 to about 30 days to about 6 months. And so for me, I did not think that my EUC would be approved anytime quicker than that 30 days to about 6 months. But turns out my EUC was approved in less than 10 days. So when I heard this, it added another level of stress because I was anticipating the truck at a later date. So I was trying to save up a little bit more money for the different transportation costs. And so all of these um, different scenarios kind of came up really quick. So, kind of to summarize it, overall, definitely a good experience. But if I were to do it all over again, I definitely would try to choose a truck that would be able to run with a jump start of the battery. With these GovPlanet auctions, it is very difficult to really understand the state the vehicle is in. But if at all possible, I definitely would recommend trying to get a truck that one could go under its own power if you could just kind of like swap out the batteries. And then the second thing I would do differently if I can do it all over again is I definitely would have more money set aside for unanticipated costs. For me, the record cost was it was just kind of like a big cost that I was not expecting. Spending $4,200 just to pick up a truck, put it onto a trailer, and take the truck off the trailer seems like a lot of money, but yeah, not many people can do it. So I definitely understand the cost. Well, let's now talk about the fun stuff. What I think of the truck. So I've owned the truck since about finally got to Washington, maybe August 21st of 2023. So I pretty much had the truck for what, September, October, November, like 4 months now. And I'm gonna say this, I absolutely love the truck. Love working on it. And when I finally got the truck roadworthy, I was like a little kid in a candy shop. I was absolutely ecstatic. And it's kind of the foundation or the stepping stone of kind of the dream of building this into an overland camper. And to add another data point of the things I like about the truck, I absolutely love driving the thing. It feels like driving a massive tank, and it's funny when I filled up the diesel fuel tank for the first time, I was just getting all these crazy looks at people, and people were walking over and asking me like, "Did you buy this thing or did you steal it? Like, why are you driving this military vehicle?" And it was definitely kind of funny. But now let's talk about the thing I don't like about the truck. If you couldn't tell from the transportation costs, and we're going to dive into it in a second here. But my least favorite thing about the truck is the cost. And now to dive in a little deeper with the costs. So in this far left-hand column here, I have kind of the cost for me to purchase the truck. So that's going to be like the GovPlanet auction, the transportation of the trailer, the wrecker at Yermo, California to load the Stewart Season truck onto the trailer, a very tread $400 fee, the 10% of the freight, and then also the wrecker once the truck drivers got to Washington, the cost for a wrecker to then take the truck off the trailer and then put into storage. So just for me to purchase the truck, it was about $28,700. It seems a little steep, but if you kind of compare this number to something that you can get from Midwest Military Equipment, um, the truck I was looking for was about $60,000 refurbished. And so for me, I think that buying this truck at the GovPlanet auction and then putting in the work to repair what was broken to get it roadworthy is going to be far cheaper than buying that refurbished truck. I'm not saying anything bad about the Midwest military equipment quality, but for a kind of hobby vehicle, I also wanted to mostly use my hands and kind of try to figure this out on my own. Now let's discuss the different tools I had to buy and the materials to kind of continue getting this truck up to where it needs to be. So for me to then get the truck roadworthy, I pretty much had to put another $4,000 into the truck. Um, that's kind of where the steering column and drag link comes in. So that's about $2,600. And then set of four new batteries cost me about $1,400. So between those two things and some steering fluid, to get the truck running took about $32,700 if I were to estimate. So that still kind of far outweighs just kind of that Midwest military equipment that I was talking about earlier. However, I mean, if you're willing to put in the time and do the work yourself, I think GovPlanet is the way to do it. But if you're not very mechanically inclined or you don't want to buy the tools, then I definitely highly recommend just buying something from Midwest Military Equipment or one of the other sites that sells these type of trucks. But they kind of further like dig in deeper with the different numbers. So I kind of every time I had to do work on the truck, I had to buy new tools. All of the tools I had were for normal SUV type cars that I mean, the socket sizes are definitely a lot smaller than a military truck that weighs 24,000 pounds. So every time I had to do work on the truck, I pretty much was needing to buy the right tools. So this kind of cost follows that. So in the end, it was almost close to about $7,000 of tools, but this is for different types of items. For one, future projects, and then two, some of the testing for like different paint schemes. And then I also did a like a radiator flush and then an engine oil change. So all this kind of like I wanted to capture that here in like the tools costs. So the next section is the third column to the right, where we talk about insurance and legal fees. So for me to insure the truck was a little bit of a hassle. I was calling a couple of different insurance providers, and every time I called them, they had no idea what I was talking about a Stuart Stevenson truck. Um, but eventually, I narrowed down to a company called Haggerty. So I was able to insure the truck through them. But initially, I went the way I found Haggerty is I went through Progressive, and they said Progressive can't do it, but Haggerty can. But just to kind of break down the different numbers, uh, I basically said it was a commercial vehicle for personal use, and for the initial insurance cost, it was about $178.90. But then after that initial cost, the insurance is about $52 a month. So I feel like that's pretty reasonable for a truck that's, 24,000 pounds. And then you see that there's a dirt legal um, cost in there for $948. In the state of Washington, these trucks are technically not supposed to be on the road. So the way I went around it, well, one, you can go through the state of Washington and get it inspected, and once it passes inspection, then yes, it's Omni ordained as road legal. But for me, I just decided to go through a company called Dirt Legal, where they would get the plates for me. And for me, the plates are in Montana. They made an LLC in Montana, got the plates, and then I can use it now legally. The reason why I wanted to get the truck registered and get plated because the the storage location for my truck is about 25 minutes away from my house. So for me, knowing my luck, I would go drive the truck and then get pulled over by cops. Highly unlikely because I've never really seen a cop pull over a military truck, but for me, I'd rather be safe than sorry and just have the insurance and the registration. Sure, it was a little bit of money, but I definitely want to follow the law and follow the rules. And then now let's talk about the final expense here, and that's going to be the storage expense. So for me, uh, I don't have enough room by my house for me to park this truck. I wish I made more money and I can have acres of land so that I can just play around, but that is not the case. And so for me, I found a site called Neighbor, and what Neighbor is a bunch of just normal people that have a little bit of extra space that you pay them a little bit of money and they're willing to let you park their truck or their car on their property. So for me, I was able to find somebody that had a nice bit of property that pretty much for $100 a month plus fees, I could park the truck there. So in total, you can kind of see the total 2023 cost of the truck is about $37,555.35. Um, that's still far less than $60,000 from like a Midwest military equipment, but that's just kind of my cost breakdown. Uh, I definitely miss a couple of little costs here and there. So, my resolution for 2024 is to definitely do a better job of tracking costs. And yeah, so the different plans I have for the truck, and I think now would be a kind of good time to discuss what the vision is. I don't plan on doing anything too drastic. I just want to continue making sure that the mechanical nature of the truck is functioning as properly. So I still have one more hose I need to replace, but ideally, the thing that's kind of on top of my mind right now is the oil pan gasket. When I power washed the truck one of the days, how it was squeaky clean, and then when I drove it, I realized that the oil pan gasket is just leaking all over the oil pan. So whenever it's not raining here in Washington or the temperature kind of gets at a reasonable temperature so I can work, I plan on replacing that. And then the next step is I want to remove the crane that's on the back. That crane is leaves about 3 feet of additional space I can potentially use for the truck, and I don't really see myself using that crane for uh, any type of purpose. And then after the kind of crane, those are kind of the two big ticket items I really wanted to knock out, hopefully sooner than later. But then initially for 2024, I want to knock out the cabin, make sure that that is soundproofed. It has soundproofing, has like a stereo system, power locks, power windows, push to start. So that's kind of what I want to do with the cab, like just upgrade the interior in general. And then finally, the last kind of thing I want to do for 2024 is paint the underbelly of the truck, just the black. So anything that's below the cab, I plan on painting black and touching up and trying to remove as much rust as possible. So that's kind of the plan for 2024. And I'm thinking about what I want to do for the habitat. And I have a couple of ideas, but hopefully, when I'm finally done with my master's program in September, I can kind of dive into that and just really hone in on really what I want to do if I want to fabricate it myself, which I have no fabrication skills. Um, or do I want to hire somebody to do it? Or do I just get a pre-made box? So that's kind of like the thought process for now. Yeah, in this video, I definitely talked a lot, but in the end, I do think this is good information that people definitely need to see before they kind of commit to a project like this. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much and Happy New Year.